They rescued her twice, and she repaid them by saving a life. That is the story of Hazel, a 9-month-old dog who had already been given up not once, but twice before she finally found the home she deserved. She had only been there a matter of days when the fire started, and she did something that nobody expected. She bit her owner awake. In the darkness, in the smoke, she grabbed him with her teeth and refused to let him sleep through what was coming. The house burned to the ground, but because of Hazel, the man inside it did not. If you have ever wondered whether rescuing an animal is worth it, I want you to hold that question, because this story is the answer. Subscribe to Last Chance Rescue. New stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and let's get into it. Hazel's story begins the way too many rescue stories do, with abandonment. She was found as a puppy and taken in by a family that seemed ready for her. They were not. Something changed, or maybe nothing changed, and they simply realized they were not who they thought they were. And she was surrendered back to JDC Rescue, back into the system, back to starting over. That surrender, in the language of rescue organizations, is one of the most painful outcomes a volunteer can experience. You find a match, you hand over an animal you have come to care about. You allow yourself to exhale. And then the phone rings, and the family has a new situation, a new reason, and the dog needs to come back. JDC Rescue took her back. They kept going. A second family came along. Hazel was rehomed again. And again, for whatever reason, that family decided she was not for them. JDC Rescue described it plainly and without softening. She was devastated once again when another owner decided to make a lifestyle change and dumped her. Dumped. That word matters. It is the word rescue organizations use when they want to be honest about what happened and who bears responsibility. It is not returned or surrendered. It is dumped, because sometimes that is the truth. Hazel was 9 months old. She had already lived more loss than most pets ever know. She had learned twice that the place she thought was permanent was not. And she had kept going. She had kept being, in the words of JDC Rescue, the most gentle and loving girl you could ever meet. That is not a small thing. That kind of resilience in a dog who has every reason to shut down is what rescue workers hold on to. It is what keeps them in this work. And then something shifted. A man in Whakatane, New Zealand, agreed to take her home. He became her third chance, the third family she had been placed with. JDC Rescue cautiously let themselves feel hopeful again. They posted about it. They called her a genuine treasure. They talked about how she had survived everything and remained open. Nobody could have known what was about to happen. It had only been days. Hazel was still learning the rhythms of a new home. Where to sleep, what sounds meant morning, which corners of the yard were hers to claim. She was in that fragile, tender period that every rescue dog goes through when they arrive somewhere new, the weeks when they are deciding, slowly and very carefully, whether to trust. The fire started in the night. How it ignited has not been publicly released. What the people nearby in Whakatane described was a fire that moved faster than expected. The blaze, once it took hold, intensified quickly. The property manager, Christina Eichler, would later speak to local outlet Stuff about what the night looked like from the outside and how serious the situation had been. Inside the house, her owner was asleep. He did not wake up on his own. The smoke was already there. The fire was already consuming the structure around him.
Hazel did not bark. She did not scratch at the door or make noise in the direction of the street. She did not wait for someone to come find her. She bit him. She went to the sleeping man, grabbed him with her teeth, and woke him up. Think about what that required. The smoke in the air, the noise of the fire already building, the terror that any animal, any living creature would feel in a burning building. Hazel did not freeze. She did not run. She went to the person who had given her a home, and she bit him awake, and she did not stop until he was moving. He woke up. He got out. He suffered smoke inhalation from what he inhaled before Hazel reached him. The house burned to the ground and was completely destroyed. But he was alive. Christina Eichler said it without softening it. If his dog was not there, he would not be here. Not close, not lucky. He would not be here. Hazel saved his life. A dog who had been abandoned by 2 families in less than a year, who had been told in the only language families speak to animals, action and absence, that she was not worth keeping. That dog chose this man. She chose him in the moment that mattered most, before she even fully knew him, before she had done more than a few days of learning his name and his schedule. She chose him, and she fought for him, and she got him out. If you are still watching this, I want to pause and ask you something. Subscribe to this channel. Click the bell, because these stories need to be found by the people who need them, and the only way they get found is if you help this channel reach them. It costs you nothing, and it means everything to the mission. Now let me tell you about what comes next in this story, because there is a version of it that does not exist, and that version is important. There is a version of this story where nobody takes a third chance on Hazel, where JDC Rescue runs out of foster capacity, where she ages out of the system or gets lost in the volume of animals that need help. In that version, Hazel is not in that house in Whakatane. There is no dog to bite anyone awake. There is no alarm. There is just a man sleeping, and a fire, and a morning that does not come. Rescue organizations like JDC Rescue exist to make sure that version does not happen. They are volunteer-run. They operate on donor support and the energy of people who keep showing up even when the stories end the hard way. Dora Motatenu from JDC Rescue said exactly what all of them feel when a story like this breaks through. This is why we do this, for those moments when we see dogs finding their families. Hazel found hers, and then she saved his life. There is something about this story that I keep coming back to, and it is not the headline moment. It is not the bite. It is not the fire, or the survival, or the dramatic rescue. It is the fact that Hazel still went to him. She had been abandoned twice. She knew in whatever way dogs know things, that people leave, that the place you think is home can stop being home without warning. She had survived that lesson twice, and when she walked into that third house, she must have had some version of the thing that survivors have, a guardedness, an awareness that this could end too. And she gave him everything anyway. Dogs do not calculate love the way humans sometimes do. They do not parcel it out to protect themselves. When Hazel decided this man was hers, she decided it completely. No holdback, no self-protection, no waiting to see if he would earn it long enough. She bit him awake. She saved his life. Because that is what you do for the person who is yours.
Whakatane sits on the eastern coast of New Zealand's North Island, in the Bay of Plenty. It is a type community, a place where people know their neighbors and stories travel fast. When this one broke, it moved across New Zealand and then beyond it. People who had never heard of Hazel or JDC Rescue were reading about them by the next morning. That matters. Not just for the feel-good angle. It matters because JDC Rescue, like most volunteer animal rescue organizations, operates without the resources of a large institution. They are people doing hard, emotional work on a budget that depends on public attention and public generosity. When a story like Hazel's reaches people, it is not just heartwarming, it is functional. It reminds donors why they give. It reminds potential adopters why they should try. The house is gone. He has smoke in his lungs and lost everything inside the building he was sleeping in. And Hazel is still with him. He did not lose her in the fire. She did not run. That is the part that stays with me. After the sirens, after the smoke, after everything, she is still there. After being given up twice, after being told twice that she was not the right fit for the life someone had imagined, she stayed. If you have a rescue dog, or any rescue animal, go find them right now. Look at them. Because the love they have for you is not light. It has survived things. It has been tested, and it is still here. If you have been thinking about adopting and have not done it yet, I want you to consider Hazel. Not the headline version, the real version. A 9-month-old dog who had already been through more than most animals face in a lifetime, who was still soft enough and loving enough and present enough to save the life of a man she had just met. That animal exists in shelters near you right now. Maybe with a different name, maybe a different species, but that same energy, that same capacity is waiting. Subscribe to Last Chance Rescue. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we tell one of these stories. Real animals, real rescues, real outcomes. Leave a comment if this one got to you. Share it if you know someone who needs to hear it. Hazel was given up twice, and she still saved a life. That is what rescue looks like.